Hello, thank you for joining my talk. I'm Siert Wijnia, I'm one of the founders of company Ultimaker. And one of the slides that I always show is the Star Trek replicator. It's the true replicator. It is intriguing. It's like you tell a machine to make a cup of tea, 95 degrees C, and make the tea go grey, and there it is. And it sounds like future. On the other hand, we've designed a machine that can already make the cup, so how far is future away? Well, basically we are in a world of digital revolutions, everybody knows here, and the intriguing thing is that we had communication and computation, and we're now going to enter the world of the digitalization of the fabrication. So we're using the ones and the zeros now to fabricate better than ever. So what you see at the bottom of the slide is small particles that have some information. They can communicate with each other, they can move a little bit, they have different properties, like for example the white one is electrically isolated, the red one is conductive, and the green one can emit light. You can tell them, make a shape of a light, and they can fit together and make light. And if you make these particles as small as you possibly can get them, maybe that small that you can't even see them, you have like matter that can do shape shifting, which is really intriguing. Well, and there are a lot more ways of building the future with the digital ones and zeros. But basically what is important, it's all about the connectivity, and everybody knows that we are going from centralized to decentralized to distributed right now. And we've seen it in the social networks. I don't need a big company anymore to get a social network or a professional network. And you see it in the energy network, local communities building their own stuff. One is putting a windmill in the garden, and the other one is putting some these solar panels on the roof, and together they have energy. And we will have that now in a production network as well. So the Ultimaker is like an example of a tool that is going to be one of the tools in a decentralized production network. And if you take that a step further, what we can make with it, and we can connect that, and we have the product network as well, which is the Internet of Things. Now, how did it start? I worked at Protospace, Lab in Utrecht. Here we had a 3D printer. It was an awesome machine, but 40,000 euros, way too expensive for me as a person. And one bucket of plaster that went into the machine was about 1,000 euros, and I was like, wow, I want to have one, but I can't. And then I came to this project. Adrian Boyer, he made the wrap design, and that kicked something off. I think he is the one that kicked off the whole 3D printing scene that is around right now. It was an open source design, and I love open source. Everything was on the internet, the design files for the mechanical parts, the software, the firmware, the bill of materials, everything was out there. And I started tinkering, and I found a group of people and started to build them. And the beauty of the machine is that if you have one, you can print parts and make with parts a new one, but there is some kind of a chicken and egg problem with that. It took us about a year to build a machine. But we had one, so we put it in the trunk, and I have seen some people around here that I showed it at the Reboot conference, I think in 2009. And something amazing happened out there. We had the machines, they were working, but what came out of it wasn't that good. But at the conference, there were about 600 people, and they were all asking, well, it's a great machine, but what can I do with it? And it was like, well, can't you see it, or am I stupid? And then suddenly, this 7-year-old girl shows up, and she's not asking something, yes, she's asking one question. She has a USB stick in her hand, and she's asking to me, can you print this ladybird for me? And we said, well, sure, well, give us the file, and we put it in the printer. So we did, and after 15 minutes of watching, so I had plenty of time to take this picture, she was like starting to complain, well, it takes so long, 15 minutes, and it was halfway already. And I said to her, if you come back in another 15 minutes, it will be ready. So she did, she walked away, came back 15 minutes later, and she had a ladybird in her hand. And she asked, can you make another one for my girlfriend? Well, a friend, not a girlfriend. And I said, sure. So we printed another one, and this was her ladybird. And I was really intrigued by her. 600 people didn't got it, and this 7-year-old picks it up, accepts it, and she walks away after having the ladybird in her hand. and she tells her mommy, mommy, I want a machine like that. Okay, so the 3D printing thing is not a bubble, it's just going to be there, but we are just too narrow-minded and taught not to think in a world of 3D printing. But I also picked up, she wanted to share. She wanted it faster, and it's normal. And that it's normal, it is normal, because if you just look at nature, every tree is growing where the tree is, right? It's not being produced in China, it's just right there, right now. So, for her it's normal, because it is normal. But we just don't see it, because we've just over-engineered a very complex system and shipping all stuff around the world. Well, one of the things she also told me that it needs to be faster. I never ever had a thing in my hand within 30 minutes. This girl was complaining about it, that it took her so long. So we decided, it took us a year to build a machine that needed to be different because we want to have a better machine, and we had talked about a lot of things that we wanted to do better on the wrap, so we came up with the design of the Ultimaker. And one of the things the girl told me, she wanted to share it, and because we started with the whole project from the wrap, we decided we needed to stick to that because we got so much knowledge from the whole wrap scene. We need to give our part of the knowledge back. So that's what we did. We put our design files online. And we had our own 3D printer and we were really happy with it. And what then happened was like, there was a story this morning about being overwhelmed by people from the market wanting a product while you don't really have everything in place to make it and to build it. So we were overwhelmed by emails from people. I want one, can I buy one? Okay, but then we have to find a company and we have to arrange a lot of stuff. So we started to do that. And since then it has been one wild ride. And while we were packing the first 50 boxes and shipping them around the world, our clients started to play around with it. And that was really fascinating to see. For example, if you have Paul Candler, a guy in England, and I speak to him quite a lot, but without me knowing it, he was playing around with our machine, and because everything was open again, firmware, software, everything, he was trying to find out what are the limits of the machine, and he was printing in layer heights of 20 microns with a technique which the big companies that also use the same technique say it's impossible. You can't do it at that scale. Well, it can be. So I was really like, if I give people the tools and the freedom to play around with it, they make results that I can't dream of. They do different stuff with it that I'm just a mechanical engineer. I like to build machines, but what they do with it really fascinates me. And there's more of it. This is like Florian Horsch from Germany, and what he printed is just like it's come shining out of the machine. Jordan Miller from the US. On the right side you see the layer height, on the left it's a finger. But also totally different things. People trying to find out what they could do with it. Was a guy, and I helped him build one of the Ultimakers, and he made jewelry. And he used plastic with the lost wax method, and he started pouring gold in it. So with a very cheap machine, he was able to make something from gold. And that was really intriguing, because I know there are some printers out there that you can use to sinter metals, and these machines are about $500,000 plus. And he did it with an Ultimaker, just like that, and it's just because you give people the facilities, the tools to do it. Being open also means that you can make it portable, and it's really awesome. And it's just a joke to see how far we could go, but it doesn't even affect the quality of the print. You can't almost see it, and it's really intriguing. And a lot of people are just fascinated by the fact that you can just walk around with a 3D printer and you can print on your back. And another thing is, all the people that I helped building these machines in the first half year of our company, we had workshops. We didn't sell it over the internet, but we had workshops building this machine. But all the people were afterwards like, wow, I have one now, but I don't want to lose you guys. I want to share my ideas and the knowledge on it. So we organize gatherings every 6 weeks. All the people come together. So there is the intriguing thing is we have the internet, we have social networks, and then suddenly we can share knowledge, but we bring it to the physical world, and that means that we are going to connect, we are going to check out on each other again. So it's a tool that brings everything back to human level, to connect. Now, our hobby was getting way out of hand, and we turned it into a company, and in the meantime, last September we released our new design. It's based on the original design, but the inside is totally different and totally brought to the next level, because people wanted to have, the group of our clients is changing from the tinkerers also to the group of, I want to have one, and I want to, it needs to print with a press of the button. And that's challenging, because the tinkering world, they accept quite a lot, and they even accept things that I wasn't imagining they would. For example, a guy in Canada sent me a picture of electronics which were completely folded and jammed because of transportation. And he just asked me, do you mind if I first try if I can fix it before I send it back and get a replacement? And I said, sure, just give it a try, and if it doesn't work, I'll send you a new one. And 2 days later I got an email, yeah, it worked! And I was like, but now the client group is changing into clients, there's a scratch on it. I won't accept that. So it is really intriguing how quickly that is growing into a different group of people. But I think if this morning people talked about impact, we want to have impact as well. We want to empower people, and we can't do it by only serving the tinkerer group. We want to serve everyone. So we have to take that into account, into the back of our head, in designing stuff and making stuff. What is 3D printing now all about? What is intriguing to me is, which is NS1 RSG, which stands for NS1, means that we will have the long tail of products. Every single product we will have probably only one of them, but we can make almost everything that we want in the near future. So we have to design completely different systems to work with that. Mass stuff, it's fine, but how, if we can change that to, I only need one and I can make one, but it should be that easy that I can do it, and everyone should do it. And the reach is global. For example, this designer, I have it here. I printed it, but it was designed by, I don't know who and I don't know where, somewhere out there on the globe. And he made the file for this. So we can actually send stuff over the internet. Now, the whole 3D printing is like intriguing, because there is so much involved in 3D printing. It's like from an idea, you need knowledge on how to produce stuff, you need to draw, you need to share information. There is file transfer, there's materials, there is a machine involved. It's very complex altogether, but what you want to achieve with it is not a nice thing. You want to have a product. Like, we can make a nice thing, but making a shoe is something completely different, and that's what it's all about. These machines, we are in the stone age of 3D printing, but what if we can really actually make products out of it, not things? Then we're really going to get what we want. And if I see what with our Stone Age printer, so what we actually can do, it's amazing, because we had a few months ago in New York the 3D print show, and we had a company from Australia design a dress, and they completely printed it on the Ultimaker, and it was shown on the catwalk of the 3D print show in New York, and it completely blew everyone away. It was just amazing to see that you can just print a complete dress on a machine like that. Now, all these things to get to a product are pretty important, and one of the things that I'm really proud of is our community, because they help us out. And we want to give them the stage to combine information, knowledge, and everything, and ideas on what to make. I mean, on the 3D print show in New York, I was just asked, could you make the machine, say, about 5 centimeters wider? And I asked them why. Because then I can print size 9 shoes with it. Okay? I need to work on that. But these things are like, I'm just making a tool, and they are defining what they want to do with it, and that is really intriguing. Those are the things that I listen to, because I can't imagine what a lot of people want to do with it. But if I give them the tools and the playground to play with it, they can really make amazing stuff. So what we also created is a website called Imagine, and we let people share. And well, sharing a file is not new, but we're trying to integrate all kind of things with it, like a 3D drawing program. What we've discovered is that if you look at the file types that you use for 3D printing, it's all that you have basically a 3D file, which is completely defined. Then you want to print it, and you save it as an STL file, which is just all little triangles defining only the outside of the file. You lose all the design information of the product or thing that you created. So what we try to do is create an online design tool, which saves the file in an HTML format. So everyone can just pick up the design and modify it, because the source of the file is there. And it's not degraded to points or triangles or whatever it is. We also have software called Cura, and it's intriguing. I hear Cura everywhere. But the guy who created it is part of our company, and I think more than half of all the 3D printer companies that start, they use Cura. It's open source. We share it. We made it better. Why do we share it? I think it is intriguing, and that all these people that work with it, they have ideas how to improve it. And by giving them a chance to talk about it and to land it in the company, we can improve it for our clients as well. So I'm happy to share it. And the intriguing fact is that we get questions in right now. We would like to have kind of a service level with Cura. So at the moment I'm thinking about what should we do with it? Should we just keep it open, or should we create a separate company that is trying to give us a service level with Cura, but keep the core open source? So it's like a Linux thing. You have the open source program, but if you want to have it drivers developed for it, whatever, you can knock on somebody's door. And what I now see is that all these things are getting together in a kind of a distributed network of little tiny things and companies that they make each other stronger, and that really fits in my vision of how we are going towards the future. It's not that we have these giant Google companies and Apple companies, okay, that they make a lot of money, but I think we're going towards smaller companies intertwined all over like a distributed network, which makes if one company fails, it's just a dot in the network. It's not, I think it's an analogy in how we should work together. And I see a lot of people going away from big companies and starting for themselves. Now, basically what I want to have with 3D printing is an analogy with the kitchen, like you have a recipe, pick it up from the internet. In 3D printing that will be a 3D file. You have a tool to make it and some raw materials, and you have a result. We do it in the kitchen every day, so why not do it with products as well? That means then that we have some issue here, because we're going to chew on the whole production chain that we have. There's a guy with an idea, there's a guy that makes a drawing, there's a guy making it, we have to ship it, we have to sell it. We can all do that now with a machine in our own house. So we're basically going to make a shortcut in the economic chain. That doesn't mean that everything will be shorted out, but we will going to change it. And that makes some intriguing questions pop up, like what about patents? This whole machine is about making stuff for personal use, and there is now already starting a discussion. If you put a file online for nothing, for free, can you then use a patented idea or not? And we already start seeing discussions of people putting designs on the Imagine website, which are based on a patented idea, but they're not used commercially. It's just people use it for their own private use. And now the intriguing thing is that we have a machine that can really break this system. And I think we should, because if you look at this technology, it was invented in 1980 something, and it has been out there for 20 years. Only one company could use it, and it's been quiet for 20 years because they've asked a lot of money for it, and they also sold to the business-to-business part. And now the patent's expired, and you see this big explosion of 3D printing. Everybody knows or heard about it. So these patents, in the age we're in, the 20 years that the patents protects you in getting money out of it, the 20 years is like a millennium today in the exponential speed that we are at, like Moore's law on innovation. If we take the extrapolation, the 20 years doesn't fit anymore. So I really think we need to change that. I think we need to share. And I am proud of that what we do with our companies. We share the blueprints of our machine. We have been cloned from Poland to China. You can buy this on Amazon. It's not original. You can only buy an original one at our website. Do I mind? Yes and no. On the one hand, I say, well, I'm going to be cloned anyway, but that means that I made a product worth cloning. So, right? But on the other hand, I don't like them to use my name to sell a product which doesn't meet my standards. So there's a kind of, it's a puzzle, and I think the only way to solve this puzzle is not by trying to protect it, but trying to work out a way to get there. So what we now did is, our way of opening is like, we launched the machine in September, and we decided 6 months later we will open the design files. That gives us a little bit of an edge, that we can make sure that we're not cloned within 1 or 2 months and kill our own business. On the other hand, I want to share, I need to share. And I think the 6 months at the moment is the right, the right time that we can work it out. And what I see with a lot of people using 3D printing is that we have a new kind of business popping up. It's like, peer-to-peer business. Example, she's...
what was the last abbreviation, because I didn't know it? Peer?
Peer-to-peer business. It's like individuals getting into business because they just make something for their own use. People, this is Anja, she is a teacher, she designed earrings, and her students are now asking, can I buy one? And she's having very small local business. This is another one. Brings me to a slide that I couldn't make a nice bridge to, but basically what we are doing with 3D printing is trying to resemble nature. They use 4 building blocks, the 4 amino acids. We're using the digital ones, the 0 and the 1. We're just on the start of trying to explore and to find out the algorithms within DNA, and I think we can make a world with to integrate them together. And that makes something amazing possible, like these things. If you have a kid later on, probably you need an upgrade, because otherwise you can't compete in society anymore. So, is this future? Well, sort of, but we're getting there quite quickly, and our slogan is Imagine It, Make It. Thank you.